Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky. I'm back with my plans and pans, and I'm also back in Washington, D.C. This week and back next week as well. And while it's been kind of slow on the floor, not a lot of legislation, a lot of concern about keeping members off the floor because of COVID, there's been some very important things that have happened dealing with voting rights. But you also know that the president and vice president um, went this week to Atlanta, Georgia, and we're talking about, in no uncertain terms, that we have to get the voting rights bill passed. Actually, both voting rights bill. Not only the Freedom to Vote Act, which is, as you know, I think, Joe Manchin's bill. He wrote the bill. And also the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which would make sure that states cannot elude um, the rights of voters with voter suppression laws. So um, when they went to Georgia, they were very clear that we have to do everything that needs to be done. The president and vice president were saying in order to pass these bills. And I think maybe not for the first time, but unequivocally, the president was talking about changing the rules of the Senate. And you know what that means. That means the filibuster. Um, we heard Mitch McConnell make what I think was the most indecent, threatening, inappropriate, ugly speech about what would happen, the retribution that he would lay down on Democrats if we had the nerve to end the filibuster. Let's remember, this is really important, that the Republicans used it 3 times to stack the court. They changed the rules of the Senate in order to get Gorsuch, to get Kavanaugh, to get Coney Barrett, to stack the court in their direction in the most political way than that we have ever seen before. The stench of politics is what Justice Sonia Sotomayor called it. It's disgusting. So, the rules for them, different for us, and the kinds of vicious threats. Nonetheless, we're going to have to do it because there's nothing more important, nothing more small d democratic than making sure that we have voting rights. So, in the House of Representatives, I trudged over to the to vote last night at about 10:30 to send to the Senate the ability to vote on the voting rights bills. And now they in the Senate are going to proceed ahead. We're going to see that on the first vote that it is unlikely that we're going to get passage because the Republicans are going to vote no, just as the Republicans in the Senate stood up and said that they would vote no. The debate is just finishing now in the House, and so we are likely to see it fail on a party line vote. And then the question is moving forward on uh, a carve out of, or some other way, maybe talking filibuster, some change to the Senate rules that would allow just a simple majority vote to get our voting rights in the law. And of course, the president would gladly, as he pointed out, he would happily sign that legislation. So this is a very important and critical moment. We want to have everybody mobilized for the elections that are coming up sooner than we think, and we want to make sure that the right to vote is preserved for 2022. I also wanted to tell you some things about Medicare. I spoke yesterday. I'm one of the founders and co-chairs of the House Democratic Task Force on Aging and Families. We have a lot of members that have joined that who are concerned about older Americans and our families. And one of the most important things, of course, is Medicare. And we've been hearing from um, many constituents who are concerned that the Medicare premium has gone up significantly, the highest that it has ever gone up. Why? The main reason pushing the Medicare premium rate up has been a very controversial drug for Alzheimer's. Now, we're all for finding a cure or some sort of remediation for Alzheimer's disease, some sort of a medication that would at least diminish or extend the length of time before people are really affected by Alzheimer's. And there's a lot of important research going on. But the increase in the Medicare premium reflects what at first was including the paying for a drug called Aduhelm, um, that the manufacturer said would cost $56,000 a year per person for this drug. Now, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services is required to raise the premium to cover anticipated costs. Well, a lot of changes have been made. First of all, the manufacturer said, no, instead, we'll say it's only $28,000 instead of $56,000 a year. And then yesterday, um, CMS, Medicare Services, said, no, actually, it's not going to be for all Medicare patients. It's only going to be for people in clinical trials that are operated in hospitals and only for early Alzheimer's. So, in other words, the number of people that would be affected or eligible is cut down. We demanded yesterday, our task force, that there be an adjustment in the Medicare premium, adjustment down, of course, in the Medicare premium. So I just want you to know this is in the works. They said that, yes, they agree that something has to be done. There has to be a process in place to do that. But I want you to know that I think, based on the outcry, which is legitimate, that there will be some sort of adjustment, hopefully sooner rather than later, in that Medicare premium, and we want to see it lower. The other thing I did this week was talk to a number of groups about the issue of uh, debt that you have to owe for college. You know, I want to tell you something. I think this is one of the most counterproductive um, rules that we have. $1.7 trillion in college debt right now. $1.7 trillion more than credit card debt. And over 43 million Americans owe their college debt, and that can go on and on. While the average is about $30,000, I know people who are professionals, doctors, lawyers, people who owe well into um, their senior citizen years, they owe on their college debt. And there has been a call, and I participated in a letter to the president asking for $50,000 in college debt relief, erasure, and we'll see if through executive order at least he can do something as a candidate. He did promise at least $10,000 in debt relief. But I think the real point is that the United States is an outlier, and that most other countries, and I believe the reason is because they see that an investment in higher education means that you're going to have not only more educated individuals, but you're going to have people that are going to be able to be scientists and teachers, and that they're not going to worry about paying for that in terms of competitive advantage, competitive advantage around the world. that being able to cover the cost. And I wanted to just tell you some of the countries. First of all, England and most of European Union, they pay for college. It goes past K through 12 and at least through the 4 years of college and many beyond that to advanced degrees. But if you look at countries like Brazil and the Czech Republic and Finland and France and Germany, as I said, European Union, and Iceland and Kenya and Norway and Panama and Slovenia, all these countries cover the cost of college. And by the way, students, listen up. Many of them have very reduced cost and some no cost, even for foreign students. So, if we want to improve our competitive advantage in the world, we want to educate our population. And so, there is an increasing call among organizations and individuals and families to have a lot of relief, if not removal, of the college debt altogether. As usual, we talk about the coronavirus. I personally have taken it a mission to tell, particularly members of Congress who walk around the halls of Congress without a mask. You know, I've actually started taking pictures of members who are not wearing masks. They are required, and most of them do. Not Marjorie Taylor Greene, wear them on the floor of the House. I think she has been fined most of her salary now. They take it out of your salaries if you don't wear a mask. I think she's pretty much given up her congressional salary. I guess she's rich. I don't know because she just refuses on principle not to wear a mask. So, one of my colleagues who wasn't wearing a mask said, "Well, I'm healthy." It's like, well, good for you. But if you are carrying the virus, you are infecting others. This is about a lack of concern. And so I have been calling people out. Where's your mask? Wear your mask. And I am exploring how we're actually enforcing that. The Capitol Police have been told that they can't tell members that they have to wear a mask, that it's the sergeant at arms. Well, I need to find out more about exactly how the sergeant at arms, who is one person, is making sure that this is enforced because I'm seeing that it is not. So I've been kind of obnoxious about it because I really think during this increase in transmission that at least members of Congress and then also their staff needs to in the Capitol complex at the very least be wearing their masks. So that's been an issue of mine. The White House has announced that there's going to be the production and release of about 10 million tests available this month. And you should know that as of the 15th of this month, it is absolutely required that all insurance companies that you have will pay for testing. So save those receipts. You should absolutely be reimbursed if your pharmacy or otherwise is charging for the testing equipment. So that will be available. Um, Also, Tony Fauci testified before congressional committee talking about how Omicron is so infectious, um, and um, of- and also stated that having that be vaccinated and boosted is still very helpful to make sure, as my husband and I had, um, very mild, if any, symptoms. But because there are often no symptoms, that's why mask wearing is still very important, and all the other precautions should be taken. I want to end with this. I think it's really exciting news. not earth-shattering, but really wonderful. And that is there is a new quarter, United States quarter, a coin um, that has Maya Angelou, the wonderful activist and of course poet and author, and the first African American to appear on a quarter. I myself called my bank to see if there could be an order of a box or at least a roll of the Maya Angelou uh, quarters, and I'm hoping to get some eventually. You know, there is a coin shortage right now, so there may be somewhat of a delay to really get this widespread. But I want to have some for myself, and as a kind of just wonderful symbol on that coin. So maybe you want to do that too. Call your bank, see if you can get a Maya Angelou uh, quarter, and maybe share some with your family and friends. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.